All right, so I'm Denney from Worthington Assembly. Small electronics manufacturer. 16 people, we make stuff like that. We don't have a sales and marketing team, and we've been in business for a long time and always kind of struggled to really find our niche and how we're kind of going to kind of grow. And we get involved in these cool projects like this is called the public radio, made in Brooklyn. Really, really simple. Some of you may have heard of it, but I'll demonstrate real quick. Just one station. And the whole idea is these guys can sell to NPR, and NPR can do fundraisers and stuff like that. And it got us a little bit of a taste. Projects like that got us a little bit of a taste of this kind of cool community of startups and people getting interested in this kind of work. And we were trying to do some cool stuff like start a factory tour group where we go around and have people at our factories go to other factories. Some of you I've met, some of you have actually been to some of these tours. They're a lot of fun, and we got it right up in Boston Globe, which is pretty cool. So it got us more involved in these communities, and including Octocart, which is presented here before, and they do some kind of cool stuff, and always trying to get ourselves out there. Again, no sales, no marketing, so how do you, because we don't, sales and marketing is very expensive, so honestly we just didn't want to pay for all of it. And this guy is our best friend. This is what business was like for a long time. The old fax machine. So you ask for an order, and the fax PO comes over, and it's got a cover letter, and it's just exhausting. It's just like so boring and so uninteresting. And we're young, and we wanted to just get involved in something a little cooler. So when we got involved with some of these, getting more interested in the startup community and stuff, we had to do quoting, right? So if somebody needs to get an electronic assembly made, they need to know how much it's going to cost for us to make it. So the process works something like this. So this is Spencer. Spencer would come to me and he would say, "Hey, Chris, I need a quote." All right, no problem. So I go to Neil and I say, "Neil, get started on the BOM." So he goes out to DigiKey, gets started on that. They come back to him with questions. So now it starts to grow, and it grows, and it grows. This whole process, right? I go to a bare board house, try to find out how much the bare boards are. They come back to me, the price is too expensive. Meanwhile, Neil's talking to DigiKey, and they're going back and forth. I'm going to other board houses. Finally, they figure something out. They go to Rafael. He's got to ask questions to the customer originally, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows. And this process is maddening. Anybody who has ever been involved with any sort of manufacturing knows this process. There's all this stuff going on. Look, we're at day 4 now, and guess who still doesn't have his quote? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. This guy. Just remember this happy guy? Well, he starts to look like this. What is going on? Where is my quote? Because when we're working with so many individual companies, we worked on was quoting, and it was just, we're pulling our hair out doing this. So, the point is, the idea is simple. Make it easy to generate quotes. But as anybody in this room is probably familiar with, execution is always much harder than that. So enter this cool company called Circuit Hub. They have the same idea. Make it really simple to generate quotes, to get this stuff out the door. Don't waste all your time, all this communication, emailing, faxes. So they had a really cool idea, and I'll demonstrate it here, to be able to take, real quick, if you don't mind show of hands, anybody who's ever been involved with circuit board purchasing or making prototypes and any of that kind of stuff? Okay. Oh, wow. So, good. Speaking of the right people. So real quick. So you probably know, you've waited 3-4 days, something like that. The good ones, they'll get it to you in a couple days. But what we did is, you all have your design software, you're using Altium or Eagle or something like that, and you have these design files. Well, we said, well, why don't we just parse, all the data is in that design file. Why are we messing around with all this? Why don't we just pull all that data in, parse it all out, and let software take over, rather than me and Neil and Rafael try to figure all this stuff out all the time. So, for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to show you how you upload this, but at least I'm going to show you the interface here, where you go through and you actually select specific manufacturers, something that we can buy. So rather than just saying a 10K resistor or something like that, this is something we can actually find on a shelf at a distributor. And if you have an issue, like right down here it's saying 1 part to reconcile, you can figure out what the issue is, and you say, oh, this isn't actually a part, or you couldn't find it, and you just tell the software not to place it. And assuming the demo goes smoothly, which I tried this many times, so it should, we'll get a quote. So 3 or 4 days of trying to generate a quote for Spencer. I'm now doing it in front of an audience of 200 people, instantly. So you got a slider here, and you can choose, you got 13 boards, or you want 48 boards, and then you got a slider here for how fast you want it. You want to pay more and get it sooner. Pretty sweet. Well, like I said, keynote, here you are. Ideas are always easier than execution. So the idea, cool little Star Wars cupcakes. The execution, a little bit harder than that. And that's kind of what it was like for us. Again, make it super easy to get these orders, to get these quoted, and then get your orders. Really stinking hard. This was the first project we ever got. So we got like our first customer, and we're super pumped, we're super excited. We got, I don't know, I think we built like 100 of them. Nice little simple product, something we've seen a lot of, typical design. But then we find out it's a Hebrew university in Israel. And I think the furthest we had ever shipped before this was Canada. So we're going, wow, how do you ship to Israel? We've never done something like that before. I'm sure we can figure it out. Shipping can't be too hard. So I drive down to the post office with a box. So yeah, that'll get there, sure. No, shipping's hard. Customs took 30 days. 30 days stuck in customs because I didn't know what I was doing. I just said, hey, here's a box. I needed to go to this university, and customs didn't know what to do with it. How are we supposed to know? It was madness. And meanwhile, the customer is saying, hey, I gave you guys X amount of dollars. Where are my boards? So that was kind of tough. This was the next one. This one hurt the most. Cool little product. Customers makes these little adapters for power supplies to use less expensive power supplies to get more power out of them. A lot of fun. He sells quite a bit of them. I forget how many we made. A few hundred anyway. And this happened. The shipment never got there. It was a $14,000 order. But UPS insures all their shipments. For $100. So we got $100 back, and then we had to spend $14,000 more to make more of them. Execution is really hard. We run into this stuff all the time. Somebody says, I need boards in 3 days. Oh yeah, we'll get boards, and you're working like mad, you're staying late trying to get everything done, get everything prepped, and then he asks you to put this part on the board. You go, well I don't know if you can tell, but the Gerber date is behind it, and that part isn't going to fit there. So just trying to execute on a really simple idea is really hard. Beautiful picture, absolutely beautiful picture. I hope to be there someday to see this in person, but as a manufacturer, it's miserable. This is a picture of Chinese New Year. Yeah. So despite the fact that we're a manufacturer in the United States, Chinese New Year has burned us a few times. We know the Chinese New Year is coming. So we say, okay, we're going to start to funnel our supply channel from the United States. But you got to make sure your timing is right. When is Chinese New Year? And we ended up placing orders during Chinese New Year, overlapped, and you end up shipping weeks late. So again, ideas are really simple, but now it's kind of rolling. This is actually a picture I took last night of our order process. This is actually the view we see as a manufacturer. Things are coming in. We're starting to execute. It's been quite a road. We've been doing it for about say 2 years, but really started to roll. Started getting things rolling in January, and it's been pretty exciting. So that's it. You guys have any questions?
How did the UPS truck catch fire? Was it plugged in?
I just found the picture on the internet. I have no idea how they lost it. They lost our package. For whatever reason, it just never showed, and they couldn't explain what happened to it. So that was it. No, I just love that picture, so I wanted to include it.
How
do you handle the price breaks on all the websites?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we use Octopart API, and we more or less just give you whatever the API from, say, DigiKey or Newark or something's given us. So the price break isn't in there. But rather than marking up the price of all the parts, which is typical for a manufacturer. Like if you go to a manufacturer, they're gonna mark it up 15, 20% or whatever. Rather than do that markup thing, we just give you it at cost. And if we save money, then that's, gotta make money somehow.
But you could sort of say, oh, if you ordered like 5 more boards, then the cost of this part's gonna go down by this much.
That happens automatically. It's really slick. Yeah, if you push that slider around, you'll see how the numbers kind of jump around. Sometimes it's more expensive to build like 46 than 47. It's weird how it happens sometimes. If you play around with that, you'll see it kind of go up, and the price of the individual pieces go up and down.
That kind of assumes that people are playing with it, and you kind of like, maybe you just graph it, so that I get, oh, wait a minute, like if I bump it up this much or bump it down this much,
Yeah, ideas are easy.
Yeah.
Execution's hard. That's cool though, right? I'll bring that back.
How did you guys, so you're on the manufacturing operation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yep.
did you guys just start this in your garage, or did you take over an existing facility?
Yeah, so no, the actual manufacturer that I work for, Worthington Assembly, has been around actually for 35 years. It's changed hands a couple times, but Circuit Hub was a Y Combinator startup, and they were looking for a manufacturer. And they had talked to a few people, and ended up through the grapevine. We got connected through a guy named Chris Gamble. Some of you might know. He's a pretty influential engineer on the internet. And yeah, we hit it off, and
You ended up in South Deerfield.
Oh no, we've been in South Deerfield for 30-something years. Well, Worthington, actually, the town of Worthington, population maybe 500 people, but we moved to South Deerfield, actually where Yankee Candle is, and there's a big industrial complex in there. And yeah, that's where we are now.
Do you have any competitor, and what if someone do something similar to your website?
You want me to talk about my competitors? Yeah, we do. We definitely do. I've only heard of them starting up this year, so I like to think that we have a little bit of head start. In fact, a real good head start, because they're probably running into a lot of the similar issues that we are, struggling with bugs. So that's the other thing I didn't even get a chance to touch on. If you have a bug in your software and you're offering instant quotes, and then ends up something is thousands of dollars more expensive, it's, what are you going to go back to your customer and ask him for more money? It's kind of a difficult thing to do. But we're running on all cylinders, and we think we're doing pretty well. But yeah, competitors are definitely entering.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, Baker Fair this year.
I would love to, absolutely. It's definitely a goal. Right now, we're just trying to fulfill the orders we get, and trying to hire good people. That's been a real struggle, trying to hire good people who are interested in manufacturing. But hopefully, yeah.
Last year they had about 60,000 people that showed up there. I think it'd behoove you to set up a table.
Yeah, I kind of like doing these events because I'm only speaking to 200 people. If I spoke to 60,000 people, we might get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I was wondering about testing. How can testing be integrated into your assembly?
That's such a good question, and probably the most common question we get in this process. So what we do is the actual components themselves, if they don't have a marking, say like a resistor or capacitor doesn't have a marking, we'll actually test the first one, make sure the value is correct before we populate the whole assembly. And then all the markings, we verify the markings match the data sheet, every single one. We make sure every single marking matches the data sheet. So at least we know we're putting the right parts on the board. But then again, we're still a manufacturer, and Circuit Hub doesn't hide the fact that we're the ones building stuff. So a lot of times we will build the assemblies through Circuit Hub, and your Circuit Hub's customer for that. But if you need like a more aggressive functional test, you can come directly to us, and we've done that. So your Circuit Hub's customer for the assembly, and our customer for the testing.
All right, okay, one last question.
Quick one. Do you also load firmware into the project? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's a similar principle to his question as far as testing. Again, we're a manufacturer, so you can come to us for those kind of auxiliary services. So if there's things like conformal coding or shipping or fulfillment, or there's all these little odds and ends, little accessories that Circuit Hub isn't addressing right now, we can help with that kind of stuff. But then you end up coming directly to us and interfacing with us and sending us faxes. No, God, don't send me a fax, please.
All right, well, hey, thank you very much.